So I moved to France 7 years ago as a student. I feel like I've been through it all. And if you're considering moving to France or moving to Paris to study, I think you should watch this video before you do that. I'm not trying to convince you not to do that. I think you should move here. I love this place. Yeah, just hear me out. I'm going to share with you 10 things in about 10 minutes that are probably going to save you 10 months of time. Let's just get into it. All right, thing number one is learn French. Don't think that you're going to move here, you're going to learn French eventually, it's all going to be fine. One thing that you should absolutely know is that if you're moving from a multicultural country like India, where everyone has a regional language, but then everyone also speaks English to work and study and all that, France isn't exactly like that. Over here, the regional language is the main language. French is absolutely the main language over here. It's not like in India where you speak your own language at home and then you speak English at work. Over here, you speak French everywhere. Of course, if you're a student and you're moving here to study in English, your classes will be in English, but all of your networking, all of your job search, everything will be in French. And yes, while there are English speaking jobs in France, and I've actually made a video about that as well, you should go check it out, I realized that your opportunities here, personal, professional, generally will be severely limited by how much you can speak French. So when I moved here, I actually started learning French 9 months before I got here. And I reached like an A1 level by the time I was here, which was still absolutely not enough. It took me around 2 years of classes and a lot of practice to get to like a B1 level. And honestly, it's only been recently in the last like 1 or 2 years that I feel like my level has reached to a point where I can converse about more or less any topic without that much difficulty. But at the same time, I realize that I still sort of feel like there's a bit of a glass ceiling that I am reaching due to my French level, and the more I improve at French, the further up and up the glass ceiling goes. So yeah, first advice, absolutely start learning French as soon as possible. If your goal is to actually stay here after, I think learning French is something that you just cannot avoid. All right, the second thing that I think you should absolutely know is that you should start networking and putting yourself out there starting from day one. If you're a foreigner in France, you're basically starting your life all the way from scratch. You're starting your network all the way from scratch, and a lot of the job market here actually gets unlocked by the network that you have. And so I think the network that you built is absolutely valuable, especially if you're coming to study something like a master's. Don't just network with people at companies, also network with your own classmates as well. But yeah, once you graduate in 1 year, 2 year or 3 years time, your network is going to be everything. And even if your first job doesn't come from your network, your second or your third or your fourth job over here might come from your network for sure. And nonetheless, I think just having a network as a student, as a master student is really important. Now is the time to start doing that. Oh yeah, one more thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm releasing a new ebook. It's around 50 pages and I cover absolutely everything that I know about master's program admissions in Europe. So if you're applying for an MIM or an MSc in business, I think you should not miss it. I really go completely in detail about every single point. I think there's like 10 or 11 sections. And I've actually been on the admissions jury at HEC Paris for their marketing program as well. So I cover things that I've learned from all of those experiences, as well as the experiences that I've had in France as a student myself as well. The link to buying the guide is in the description of this video. Go check it out and yeah. All right, the third thing that you should absolutely know before you get here is that getting your first job or even your first internship is going to be really, really hard. But the important thing is that it's really a game of persistence. The people who I know who really wanted to get a job in France got it eventually. It's just a matter of not giving up, because there will be a lot of things that are going to try to make you give up. Just understand that rejections are a part of the process. Rejections are just a filter to get you away from the things that aren't meant for you. And keep your persistence and motivation really high, because you'll absolutely need it. That being said though, one thing that I have seen is that while getting your first job is really hard, getting your second or your third job is way easier. I think in France, honestly, I think it's like a matter of trust. When they haven't really seen a French or a Western company on your CV, they just tend to trust you less. But all that's required is for one company, for one person at one company rather, to take that chance on you, and then getting your second job after that becomes a lot easier. So yeah, my main point here is that be prepared to struggle. Don't get demotivated by rejection, because a lot of rejection is going to come your way. Honestly, when you move here as an international student, rejection is the name of the game in your first year over here. If there's one thing that's really going to teach you how to handle rejection, is moving to a completely foreign country where you don't speak the language. All right, so the fourth thing that I feel like you should absolutely know is you should learn your rights as a foreigner in France. A lot of international people here, especially once they get their first job, they don't know their rights. They don't know that they have access to healthcare, to unemployment, to a lot of the same social benefits that French people do. A lot of people just assume that because they're not French, they don't have access to these things, so they don't look into them. But that's absolutely not true. I'm not going to get into it in this video what exact rights you have as a resident of France, but it's something that you should really look into a lot. Another thing that you should absolutely also do is understand what you can and cannot do on your visa, whether that's a student visa or a work visa. As an example, one thing that I did not realize was that on a student visa, I can't actually freelance legally. However, when you're on a work visa, even if you have a salaried job, you still can freelance legally as well, as long as your company allows it. There's also different things, like on certain types of work visas, you can actually change your job really easily, but on other types of work visas, you can't change your job easily. And so these are just some of the things that I feel like you should absolutely figure out and know beforehand. And another important thing is that the authorities don't do an extremely good job of letting you know of these rights by themselves. So it's really on you to figure all that stuff out. All right, the next one is that apply for your carte vitale as soon as possible the moment you get over here. The carte vitale is the most important thing that you'll need if you fall sick in France. Because if you didn't know that already, over here healthcare is 70% covered by the social security system, but you need to be signed up for the social security system to have access to that, which means that you should have signed up for your carte vitale. Again, I'm not going to get into it in this video how you sign up for the carte vitale, but there's tons of resources on that, and try and figure it out and sign up for your carte vitale the moment you get here. Okay, related to signing up for your carte vitale, the second thing that I actually did not know until my school, HEC Paris, told me about it is that in France, if you want to be reimbursed for doctor visits, you have to choose something called a médecin traitant, which is your primary doctor. You can always change your médecin traitant later, and you don't always actually even have to go to your médecin traitant to be fully reimbursed for doctor visits, but it's important to have chosen a médecin traitant. For me, I was sort of assigned one when I went to HEC Paris, but if you've gone to a different school, if you're in Paris, or like your school isn't really helping you out with that, it's something that you need to figure out. So the moment you get your carte vitale, what you should do is book a doctor's visit, go to that doctor and just ask him or her straight up, can you be my médecin traitant? I actually thought it was a lot more complex than that. It sort of felt a little bit weird asking a doctor to be my main doctor. It sort of felt a little bit like asking someone out on a date, but it's actually really simple. It's not that hard. I think you should just go and do it. All right, the next thing that you should know is file your income tax return starting from the very first year that you get here. If at some point in the future you want to apply for French nationality, having filed 3 income tax returns is going to be really important, because even if you've stayed here for 2 years or 5 years, whatever the residence requirement is for your situation, if you haven't filed 3 income tax returns, it is not possible for you to apply. And secondly, it's like a really annoying manual process the first time round of filing income tax. So when you're in that flow of doing all this first time admin stuff when you get here, just do the income tax as well, because then from the next year onwards, it's going to get a lot easier. All right, now I'm going to share with you some things that are a little bit less technical. Find other people like you. Build your network consisting of other people that you like hanging out with, that you share your interests with, and essentially build your support network here, because now you're all by yourself in a foreign country, in a completely new city. And when things go wrong or when things get hard, it's really your support network that's available to you physically that is going to come through and help you out. And one advice that I have for you in terms of making adult friendships is that frequency is everything. When you're studying your masters, hang out with the same people again and again and again. Balance meeting new people with also hanging out again with the same people, because that's what's going to be really important for you to build your support network. I think it's something that you've probably already figured out yourself anyway, but I just wanted to mention it here as well, that yeah, having good friends in a new city is really important. Next advice, again, is my first advice as well. Really just learn French. I'm repeating it for the second time just because it is so important. But yeah, just learn French. It is not something that you can avoid. And as part of learning French, one thing that you should do is also go and try and hang out with French people. It can be really hard to make friends with French people, especially as an adult, but go and try nonetheless. And as a bonus, you're going to improve your French just being around French people. Don't be scared of doing that. I've seen a lot of people who move here and make absolutely zero effort to try and talk with French people because they're too scared. Just don't do it. It's all right. Just go and put yourself out there. And my last and final point is don't stress too much. This is a mistake I definitely made in my first year at HEC. My first 3 months at HEC Paris in France were so stressful. My parents came and visited me like 2 months after I got here, and the first thing they noticed is that I just looked so stressed and tense all the time. And looking back, I feel like I really had no reason to be stressed or tense at all. I think my entire first year here, I was just so worried about where my life is going to take me that I didn't really enjoy my life in the present. And looking back, I feel like I could have taken so much more advantage of my time at HEC had I just been a little bit less stressed and anxious about my future. So yeah, don't make that mistake. Okay, my arm's kind of hurting from holding this phone up like this, so I'm going to stop this video right here. But I hope this was really helpful for you. And let me know in the comments below what questions you have about moving to France, moving to Paris, all of that.